Hi, friend. Have you ever sat in front of your computer or your phone and you're looking at that blinking cursor and thought, I don't know what to write? Because I sure have, and it sucks, but it's real life, and that's usually what happens and keeps you from writing that social media post or that email or whatever it is that's stumping you. In this episode, I'm sharing tips for battling that moment and how you can prevent it from happening ever again. And yes, I said ever again. Plus, it's just really helpful to know the format and formula for a few things. So I talk about a basic template for an email, a social media post, and a blog article. And the coolest thing about this episode is that it's a replay of a live free training. So you're going to actually hear the free training, but you're not going to hear the questions at the end. I did leave space for a live Q&A at the very end, and I would love for you to get access to that. But in order to hear those questions, you'll have to go to my website to actually see the replay at marketingyogawithconfidence.com/learn. There's also a downloadable PDF that comes along with notes on this particular topic. But before I share the replay of that live training, I want to welcome you to the Marketing Yoga with Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Amanda McKinney, and if you and I have not connected, or if this is your first time listening to the podcast, I want you to know a little bit about me. And that is that I am a marketing coach and business coach for yoga teachers. I love what I do, and part of that is this podcast and sharing snippets of how you can grow your business and make more money as a yoga teacher is what fuels me and allows me to keep going with this passion each and every day. So I hope you enjoy this podcast, and I hope that you listen to many more. And this episode is brought to you by the free training replay. So make sure that you go to marketingyogawithconfidence.com/learn, where you can get access to this training on copywriting and so many others. Every time I do a free training, I add it to that page. So you can binge watch all the free trainings that you can once you go to that page. Hi, friends. I'm so excited you're here today because we are talking about copywriting and how to write like a professional, but the you professional, if that makes any sense. So thank you so much for being here today. Hi, Esther. Hi, Tam. Let me know. Give me the thumbs up if you can hear me and see me okay. You know, I like to check that. And make sure that you have downloaded the PDF that goes along with this training so you get all the goodies that come along with it. Thank you both for confirming you can hear and see me just fine. So I want to just remind you that if you're here and you're able to ask questions live, use the ask a question option. It's down just below me. And if you're watching the replay, you won't be able to ask questions quite like that. But if you're here live with me, use the ask the question, because sometimes the chat goes crazy, which is great. And I love to see that engagement. But I will miss a question in the chat. So make sure to use the ask a question, and I will check in on the end. And this session, this free training I'll go through the content a little quicker than the others if you have joined me during this series of the Thankful Thursdays of all four. And so this one is a little shorter. So we have more time for questions at the end. So I would love to answer any and all that you have. So don't hesitate to ask as many questions as you want. But let me know that you are ready for me to jump in and that you are ready to make words a little bit easier, because I know that they're hard. So send me an emoji, a yes, I'm in, I'm ready, all that good stuff. And I will go ahead and share my screen. And so we can go ahead and get started with the content here. All right. So like I said, we're going to be talking about writing emails and social media posts and blog articles as well. And we're talking about writing like a copywriting professional. However, I want to just make sure that I share this, that I think copywriters are amazing. And when you can afford that for a specific offering, I think copywriters are amazing and you should totally do it. However, you will have a better experience when you hire a copywriter if you know your audience and what they respond to. Because here's the thing. When you're working with a copywriter, they are amazing at using words to convert someone. If they're a sales copywriter or an email copywriter, making that call to action happen, they're really great at writing the words. But you know your audience more than them, because most likely, unless you have a copywriter that's specific to your industry and what you are focused on, you are going to know your audience more than they do. So the more you can write your own copy for while you're learning your dream student, right, the better your return will be. And I say this because I have done this both ways. Early on in my business, I hired a copywriter, and while she was absolutely fantastic to work with, she is amazing and I would recommend her to anyone. I didn't see the return quite as much because I didn't know enough about you as a yoga teacher yet. So while her words were amazing, I hadn't figured out my brand voice and how I was going to communicate with you as a yoga teacher. Now, fast forward about a year, and I know so much more about you as a yoga teacher, and I'm always going to be learning. So the learning hasn't stopped and never will, but I know so much more now. So very recently, I hired a different copywriter specifically for my launch emails for when I open my membership the next time around. And oh my gosh, I can't wait to see the conversion numbers because I know it's going to be even better. Because just seeing what copy she was able to write was amazing to see the difference. So I want to say from the very beginning, hiring a copywriter is amazing, but it's even more amazing if you can be your best copywriter now. You're going to save yourself a ton of money, and the copywriter is going to be able to deliver to you a better product later, and they're going to love you because you're going to know so much about your audience. So all of this to say, I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks that I have for learning how to write as a copywriter right now, today, with what you have. The information that you have, the spunk that you have as a yoga teacher and working with your dream student and becoming the copywriter that you can be today. Then you can take that forward and hire a copywriter later if you want to. So I want you to think about, what if the next time you wrote an email, you were so excited to send it out because you knew it was so good for your audience. So many times I work with yoga teachers, and myself included, will hesitate to send an email or a social media post because you're not sure if anything's going to happen. You're not sure how it's going to be received. You're not sure if someone's going to respond or take action or buy the thing, whether it's a private session or booking into a class series, whatever it is. But what if the next time you wrote an email, you were excited because you knew it was going to be amazing for your audience? And I want you to know that this can happen, and it can happen so much faster than you're probably thinking that it can right now. And I want you to know this because, yes, it's going to take a little bit of time for you to find that groove, and it is going to be a process. But if you are in the mindset, if you are here today watching this, then that means you are committed and saying, I want to make writing easier and better for me in my yoga business. So I know it is going to happen. And I just want you to just know that it's going to be easier than you think, I promise, because words are hard, but they get easier with practice. So this training is for you if you are anything about what I was talking about before, that you struggle to write social media posts or emails, or if you have a blog or article section on your website and you have those moments where you think, I don't know what to write. I don't know anyone who has produced content as a business owner, a yoga teacher, anyone really that hasn't had that moment of, what should I write? And so I want you to know, if you've ever thought that, if you've ever had that moment, that this is for you. And I am going to share all the tips and tricks I can so that this doesn't happen to you on a regular basis. I can't promise it will never happen again, but it's way less likely with all the things I can share, I promise, because I used to have the exact same feelings as you of, what should I write? And now I really don't have that anymore. I don't have those moments of what should I write. Now it's like, I've got this list. Which one do I pick to write about? So it's a totally different problem. It's a good problem to have because you have so many ideas, and I promise you'll get there. And I know this about you because I work with yoga teachers every single day. And I know that you have so much to share with your students. I know that if there is one thing I know about yoga teachers, it's that you love to learn. I have not met a yoga teacher yet that doesn't want to take another training to learn more. I don't know any yoga teacher that's in that boat. So I know you have so much information in here that will benefit your students in such a big way. And I know you love teaching and helping your students. I know that you want to walk into that class or send them an email and tell them something that will help them with their day. Yoga teachers are amazingly compassionate people who want to help their students. So all of this, I know you've got the information and you've got the passion to help your students, but I also know that the struggle is real when it comes to sitting in front of your computer to write an email or a social media post, and you feel like you've been sitting there, or you really have been sitting there for an hour, and it's frustrating. And I totally, totally understand where you are and how that can impact your day, your motivation, and the idea of marketing as a whole. So I want to push through that discomfort and really get to that point of feeling really confident in your words. And so after this training, you are going to know the best thing that you can do. I have a lot of tips, but I've got one that's just, this is the best thing you can do to make sure that you are not having that moment of, I don't know what to write. And way more importantly, you are going to know the process that I am sharing with you that has helped myself and so many yoga teachers that to create content on a regular basis. But the thing is I'm going to share the process, but you're going to know why that this process works so you can tweak it for you. Because here's the deal. I have found a process that works for me, and I share that as a baseline for all yoga teachers. And once that yoga teacher, you, listens in, you take that and decide, okay, what works best for my business? Because you are the boss. You are the boss, so you get to make tweaks and edits to this, and I give you full permission to do that. You don't have to follow everything step by step, but I'm going to give you a step by step so that you can start there and then evolve and see what works best for your business. And then I know you're going to take action because the yoga teachers that I work with, that I call into my business, will take action. I never have to worry about that because I attract the action takers. If I line out a step-by-step process, I know you will take action because that is just who you are. And that is who I call into my business. So I know that you're going to do that. So if you and I have not met before, my name is Amanda McKinney, and I am the founder of Marketing Yoga with Confidence. So that is a podcast and an online membership for yoga teachers. And the podcast is always available. The membership, the online membership, is not open right now at the time of the live recording of this. There are many of you who are here who are in it, and I appreciate you being here. But if you're not in the membership, you're already on my email list now, so you'll know the next time it opens, and I hope to welcome you into that membership. But that is just one hat that I wear. I'm also a wife and a stepmom and a dog mom, which I always say on these live trainings that they're here with me today. So hopefully they'll stay quiet for us. And I am also a Floridian who now lives in Oklahoma. So at the beginning of this, I said I was able to go home, and and I got to see my friends and family for a few days. And now I'm back at my now home, which is Oklahoma. And I absolutely love sharing easy, simple, easy to implement tips for yoga teachers to market their business, because I truly believe 100% with everything in my being that I want yoga teachers to make all the money in the world, because I believe that yoga teachers will do so much with it, so much good. I want you to earn a full-time living, whatever that means to you, so that you can support yourself or yourself and your family teaching yoga. Because unless you have a money tree in the backyard, then you have to earn money somehow to support yourself in the life you want to live. And I believe that why in the world would you want to do anything else than your passion of teaching yoga? So if you're here, then I want to help you grow your yoga business in any way that I possibly can. But before we get into the steps and the nitty gritty of all of the copywriting information, I want you to make a commitment to me, but more importantly, to yourself. Because if you make these commitments, then I know that you will take the next steps to grow your yoga business. So what I want you to do is I want you to commit to putting in work to make writing easier. Because like anything else in the world, it doesn't happen overnight. I'm going to share some tips that will help you immediately, but you have to put in the work. When you were in yoga teacher training, you didn't just all of a sudden know how to teach a yoga class. You had to practice. If you're anything like me, my first experience at teaching a yoga class was a train wreck. Now, the person who was my sweet student in yoga teacher training wouldn't say it was a train wreck, but I know she was being nice. I didn't know what I was doing. I was at the beginning. We have to give ourselves permission to be a beginner and start at the beginning and practice. Just like we have to practice learning a sport or anything else, we need to practice writing as well. So I want you to commit to putting in that work and also knowing that this is a process. Just like learning in yoga teacher training, you did not know all about anatomy the first day of the class. You just didn't, unless you're a doctor or some type of physician that learned anatomy before. But then you didn't know it before you took a class in college. So I want you to know that it's a process. You'll find what works for you in your life and your business. And I also want you to give yourself so much grace. When you're doing this, there are going to be times where you're going to have misspellings in emails. You're going to have no one comment on a social media post. You're going to have things that happen that you could look at and say, oh, I didn't do well. I want you to give yourself a lot of grace because you're doing amazing. But give yourself grace, but never let yourself off the hook. And you will know the difference because your brain and your gut will tell you that either you're letting yourself off the hook, like, oh, I don't need to write that email this week. Or you can give yourself grace and say, you know what, life threw me a curveball and I didn't get an email out this week, but I will go ahead and write it for next week right now. So those are the differences that I want you to think about and commit to yourself. And I just want you to make sure that you're committing this to yourself and to me if that's helpful, but more importantly, to yourself. So let's dive into talking about copywriting. And I know this might seem a little backwards, but really it makes a lot of sense once you think about it. I'm going to give you all the tips and the tricks in terms of how to write better copy and not have that blinking cursor syndrome. But what I have found is that if you know the basic structure of the thing, so we're going to go through email, a blog post or an article, and a social media post. Those are the three things we're talking about today. And I'm going to give you the formula. Because here's what I've thought. If you haven't been on my email list before now, I'll give you a little tip that I give a weekly content prompt, and it's basically like Mad Libs. I give you a few sentences and you fill in the blanks or change it to sound more like you, and you can post on social media or allow that to be an idea for an email or an article or something. So what I have found is that way back when I was first starting with this idea, I would give a prompt like share your favorite yoga pose. And people really weren't using the content prompt. However, when I made it easy like a formula, like a Mad Lib formula, people started using it. So this is why I'm giving the basic structure of these things. So when you go to write the email, the social post, or the blog article, you have a template. What I want you to do is think about it like this and then adjust the template how it fits best for you. But this gives you a starting point. So these are the few things that I want to make sure that I'm sharing with you so that you know exactly how to get started. So emails, I would love to see in the comments who is sending regular emails. You can like send a hand emoji or say I am. And regular could mean every month. It could mean 2 times a month or every week. I would love to see if you're doing this. No pressure if you're not. I want you to get there, but this will help you get there. If you already are, I love it. Tam, awesome job. I love that you're already doing this. So in your regular email newsletters, remember that I am talking about an email newsletter, meaning this is the regular email you send to your list. This is not a special sales email or a special promotion of any kind. This is your regular email, okay? So all emails will have a subject line, and this is the thing that gets them to open the email. This is the very first thing they see, and if they like it, they will open the email. Just like all my emails, you may or may not open them based on the subject line or the fact that your email inbox is crazy busy, right? So you want to start with something that that you get that attention, numbers, how-tos, and something that creates urgency is really helpful. Then you go into your greeting. Now, what I will say with this is you don't have to make this a formal greeting like, hello, person's name or dear so and so. You can make this really, really casual, but this is where you get to play. Maybe you start with hi, name, but you evolve over time and figure out that you like telling stories a little bit more. So what I would say to you is this: my suggestion is that you use personalization, which you can do in any email service like MailChimp, ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, Constant Contact, all the big names. You put the personalization, meaning the first name of the person, in the email. What I would want you to do is do that within the first 3 lines of the email. Doesn't have to be hello or dear name. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So have some fun. Start recognizing what other people do in the emails that you're reading now. Then you need to make your point. Yes, you can tell stories, and stories are really good. Pay attention to what I put in my emails. You're on my email list now because you have signed up for this free training. So pay attention to how I utilize stories in my emails and see how sometimes they're a little bit longer, but not all the time. Sometimes they're shorter. Sometimes I don't use a story every time, but see which ones resonate with you. Start paying attention to other people's emails, but you need to make your point. People don't have a ton of time, so you don't want to go too crazy with the words here. This is a little bit shorter in an email. And then you want to have a call to action. Sometimes this is known as a CTA, by the way, and you want to pick just one. So in your emails, you want to have one call to action. So one great way when you're sitting down to write that email is to say, what do I want the person to do? And start there. When you start there, you know how to get there because you can talk about other things, tell a story, and then lead into the call to action. So that ask. Do you want them to watch a YouTube video? Do you want them to book a private session with you? Do you want them to hit reply and tell you what they want to know about a certain pose or something? Think about what you want them to do and focus on one action at a time. One email, one action. Then you have a closing. So you'll find that maybe it's talk to you soon, see you in class, sincerely. There's a lot of closings, but what you want to do is have your name and tie it up in a nice little bow and close out the email. Then you can also have a PS. You don't have to do this, but this is something that works really well right now. In this time, PS is working really well because the length of an email can be longer than it was a few years ago. People are used to reading a little bit more story type of emails. And what you want to do is put at the very bottom, if you have a long email, you want to have a PS that basically gives the one sentence about the email. So if you look at my emails going forward, what you'll see is that I share a whole bunch of information, sometimes story, And I mention in the PS what the podcast episode is that week. So if you skim my email and don't really read it, you will still understand what's in my podcast that week. So just start to pay attention to these little things. And the pro tip for emails is that text emails are better than image emails for your audience. You are a service-based business. So product-based businesses use use pictures and it works really well. When you're a service-based business, you want to use text more than images. So there's a lot of templates out there and they're beautiful, but use the text-based image or text-based email template and make it easy on yourself. So you don't even have to worry about it. Now, if you have a video you're linking to, you can absolutely put a screenshot of that video and link that video to YouTube or wherever, but keep the images down to a minimum. So moving on to that blog post or article, same idea here. You want to have a headline and a title. That's like that subject line in an email. You want it to get attention, numbers, how-tos, creating urgency. These are the things that work really well. Then at the very beginning of your blog or article, and this lives on your website, you want to have something that's going to get their attention right away. This is why when you read articles, you'll see some statistics at the very top. This is the thing. So maybe it's meditation helps 80% of people dealing with anxiety and depression. I just made that up. Please don't quote me on that. But the idea is that you're getting someone's attention to read more. And so you want to have kind of some bam information right at the top and then go into the meat of the blog article. Then you want to break up. So I have a few things here with formatting. You want to break up the content. With blogs and articles, the goal here, now you don't have to start here, but I want you to know the goal is to get to where you're writing consistently between 500 and 1,000 words per blog article. The reason for this is that Google likes longer content. It also helps with SEO, which is search engine optimization, which you don't have to know everything about, but you will have to think about it later. Down the road, once you're consistently creating content, you'll start to learn the other things. I don't want you to be scared off about writing blogs because I just used a term that you don't know what it means. You will learn that, but what I want you to know is that if writing 500 to 1,000 words sounds scary to you, start with 200, right? And then bump it up. Right now, it's consistent. I want you to pick a time and say, I'm going to write once a month on my blog or twice a month or every week, whatever it is. But if you're first starting out, I wouldn't suggest weekly. But what I want you to do is the formatting of a blog is you need to break it up. If it's all text in paragraph form, people will not read that and you'll lose people too fast. So you want to have a few sentences broken up by some bullet points and or images. So you would have maybe a few bullet points, a few more sentences of text, and then a subheading. So where you're using bold font that's a little bit bigger to break this up. I would love for you to start paying attention to articles that you read online and see how they are formatting things. This is the thing. Once your mind is open to the idea of marketing and creating content, you can use other people as inspiration. So start to notice what your favorite blogs are doing and see how they are formatting their words. And then, just like in the email, you want to have a call to action. So especially after someone is reading a longer blog, then you want to give them an action to take. Because if you don't give them an action, they're kind of left hanging. So even if the action is journal about this topic for 5 minutes, it's not anything that you will see, but they can still take an action, right? So in everything that you do, I want you to remember to tell the person what to do. Remember that we are so busy as human beings on this planet. We have so many things. For us to make that decision adds something to our to-do list. Take away that decision for them and tell them what to do. you're not going to be barky in this and say, like, you have to do this by tomorrow. But what I want you to do is to share and say, you know, follow this step-by-step process to go into this pose every day this week or just today. It doesn't have to be a long thing in terms of what the action is. Maybe you want them to leave a comment, whatever it is, think about what you want them to do. And that same idea, you can start with that. What do you want the person to do after they're reading this blog article? And then you write after that. Once you have that idea of what you're doing and what you're going to ask them to do, everything gets a little bit easier. How's everyone doing? Give me some emojis if you're still hanging with me. I know that this is a lot of information, but you will get the replay and you can always go back to listen to this. So the pro tip, like I mentioned, is that I do not, like when I said you can't let yourself off the hook, I am not letting you off the hook right now. You cannot say to me, Amanda, I don't know enough about SEO. I don't understand how Google works, so I'm not going to write that blog. No way. That I am not letting you off the hook. That is not okay. What I want you to do is start writing. Because here's the deal. Once you're consistently writing, whatever it is, once a month, twice a month, once a week, I don't care. Once you are consistently writing, that gets easier. Then you have space in your brain to tackle the idea of SEO. Let me let you in on a secret. I started writing blogs, then it turned into a video blog, and now it's a podcast. That span of time was about 1.5 years. For a solid year, easily a solid year, if not more, I never cared about SEO. I knew I should be, but it was not on the top of my priority list. There were other things in my business that needed my attention. However, now I am investing in SEO and learning about SEO so I can teach you, especially if you're in the membership, I get to teach you the things that I am learning about that. Now, so go look at my website, look at my show notes page from the last few episodes. So right now I'm in November. So look at the November episodes of my podcast in 2019, if you're listening far in the future, and look at how they look right now versus how they looked before November. And you'll see a very big difference because I'm starting to understand and learn about SEO. So I didn't let myself off the hook, so you can't either. Deal? So no, you're not allowed to let yourself off the hook when it comes to the scary SEO and Google words. Like you can't. You can still create content. So you're not off the hook at all. So social media posts are the other thing that I wanted to talk about today. And here's the thing with social media. There are so many factors that can go into play that what we need to do is boil it down to these few things. No matter where you're posting, and basically I'm talking about Facebook and Instagram, is really where my head is because that's where most yoga teachers are focused. Remember that Pinterest and YouTube are not social media. They are search engines. So they are like Google. So that's not where I'm focused right now. This is mainly Facebook and Instagram. So what you want is a clear picture. This is another area where I'm not letting you off the hook. If you tell me that you do not have professional pictures or you don't have a budget for a photographer, like you're not off the hook. Do you have a cell phone that takes pictures? In today's world, right now, unless you have a very old flip phone, most cameras on our cell phones take perfectly great pictures for social media because most people are looking at them on their cell phone and it's really tiny. So you don't need professional pictures. Now, again, just like the copywriter thing, if you have a budget for a photographer, go for it. Have fun. Get professional pictures taken. They'll look wonderful. But you don't have to have that. What you want is a clear picture. If they can see you, it's a success. If they can see you in the yoga pose, or you can even use stock photography. There's places like unsplash.com that you can grab stock photography and use that to your advantage. So Just figure out, okay, I'm going to use these pictures. And then you want a clear and compelling caption. So whether it's Facebook or Instagram, it doesn't matter. But what you want to do is make that content, make that social media post appropriate for that channel. So just like a main difference between Facebook and Instagram is you can put a link, which I mentioned down here too, in Facebook, but you can't in Instagram. You have to say link in bio. So what you want to do is make sure that you're writing for the appropriate channel that you're using. And then I want you to try long and short captions. And one really quick insight to do on social media is to look at other social media channels. So other social media accounts that you follow, that your audience follows. So for me, my audience is you, a yoga teacher. So what other social media places, brands, people do you follow? Maybe it's Yoga Journal. Maybe it's Yoga Girl. It could be a person, it could be a brand, it could be Lululemon, it could be places, so retreats. And then I see, what are you, dear sweet yoga teacher, what are you engaging with? What are you commenting on? What questions intrigue you? And then that allows me to cater my content to what you are engaging with. And what this means is that I'm just paying attention to what you're already engaging with. And then I'm able to see, okay, she likes questions about meditation, or she likes questions about reflecting and thinking about how yoga can change the world, not necessarily business stuff. So I'm able to then cater my words to what you can really absorb and what you're already reflecting on. Hopefully that's helpful. So just look at who else your audience is following, which you can go down a rabbit trail for way too long on this. Set a timer, give yourself 20 minutes and look at other things that people are engaging with. And then you can see, and that will help. Then I want you to have that call to action. Most of the time on social media, it's either go check out this link or what do you think about this? And you ask a question and you ask for a comment. Social media really likes engagement, so asking for comments is a great thing. During this free training, I've said, let me know, tell me in the comments, and you can do the same thing, same idea with your social media. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. What questions do you have about this specific pose? What would you love to see in my next workshop series? These are questions that you could easily ask that are yoga related, but you can also do things like, are you a coffee or tea person? Which one are you? Let me know in the comments. So remember to have some fun too. And if the platform allows, put the link or use link in bio, like I mentioned before. With social media, I want you to remember this pro tip here. I want you to post, and then I want you to post again, and I want you to post again. There's your strategy right there. See what your audience is engaging with. So if I had to give you a strategy right now, I would say I would love for you to pick one social media channel and post 3 times a week on it. Not every day, 3 times a week. This will start to give you some ideas about how to share consistently on social media, and you will start to get the data you need to make it even better. When I say data, that means I need you to have a business account. So whether it's Instagram or Facebook, I want it to be a business account so that you can see those insights and analytics. Once you see what people are responding to, you do more of that. Remember, you don't have to recreate the wheel every week. What you do is you look backwards, see what worked, do more of that. Deal? How's that for a simple strategy? Do you love it? Tell me in the comments. See what I just did there is give me that interaction. Tell me if you like that idea. Tell me what questions you have. And on that note, make sure you're asking questions because we're about to wrap up and I want to hear your questions. But you ask the questions to get engagement, to learn. Every time I ask you a question, I get to learn about you. What questions do you have about writing social media posts? What questions do you have about writing an email? These are how I learn and how I teach more of what you need. You can do the same thing with your audience. What do they need? What does that person with back pain need from you? You have so much information you could give them. You have to figure out what's going to be best to deliver to them on a small scale, like on social media. So, blinking cursor syndrome is a real thing. Okay. So, all of this to say, like we went through those basic structures, but now it's important to focus on those tips because blinking cursor syndrome is so real. And basically, it means you open up your phone or your computer and you see a blinking cursor and it feels like, oh my gosh, it's a blank page. I have nothing to write. So, these are the tips that will get you past that blinking cursor syndrome. So I have two that are the most important that I could share. And it's really like there's one that the second one is the one that will change your life. The first one is super important though. So the first one is to always have an ideas list. Now, I want you to have this digitally because we lose paper all the time. If you are anything like me, you write something down, you never know where you're going to see that again. So I want you to have this digitally. It also allows you to search. You can type in a word and it will search the document for you. So I use Google Docs for this. I think it's an amazing tool. You can also use a project management system like Asana or Trello. Evernote is also another one. OneNote is another one as well. The idea here is anytime you see something that's like, oh, I like that, or that's cool. I like how she asked that question, or, oh, I like that yoga pose he just shared and how he did it. I want you to capture it. This does not need to be pretty. The Google Doc that I have ideas in, who knows what it looks like. Sometimes there's screenshots of other people's like posts that I thought were cool. Sometimes it's copy and paste of words. Sometimes it's me having the idea, so I type it. It looks like a hot mess. However, I never have blinking cursor syndrome anymore because I get to go to that document. If I ever have that moment of like, oh, what should I talk about this week? I go to that document and pull something. And that's really easy for me to do. So that in and of itself will take away blinking cursor. The next tip I have will change the way that you can write for your business dramatically. And it's writing every day. That might seem like a big deal, but you're a yoga teacher. I bet you have a journal. I bet you have a place where you write down a yoga sequence when you think about it. This, I would love for you to do it digitally if it helps you, but you don't have to. I even use a paper one for this one. So I journal every day. It's like 2-minute journaling. It is super short. It is the way that I'm able to fit it in every day. And if you write every day, if you write every single day, writing gets easier, just like practicing yoga, just like learning how to play basketball, just like driving a car. If you do it, it gets easier. So I want you to set a timer and write for 5 minutes a day. Now, I said I just write for 2. I write a lot more during the day. So I want you to write for 5 minutes every single day and see how it improves your writing. So that's the goal. Who's going to write every day? Let me know. I want to know because it's a really fun practice. It doesn't seem fun when I'm telling you to write every day, but it gets so much better. And this is just for you. It doesn't matter what you write about. All that matters is that you write every single day. You can write about what your day was like. You can write about what you ate. You can write about your yoga practice. You can write about how your kids frustrated you. You can write about how much you like the weather or don't like the weather. I don't care. This is not going to be seen by anybody else. It's just writing. That will help you more than anything else. So here are some other tips that I have for you. And it's basically you want to, if you are having trouble writing, pen to paper, fingers to keyboard, whatever it is, speak first, then write. So record yourself talking on your phone and then write it out. It's easier to speak than it is to write most of the time. One of my favorite ways to do this is to have a friend, right? We all have someone that we could do this with. It does not need to be anyone who knows anything about our business. Maybe it's even better if they don't. But you have a friend and you say, hey, I really need this favor. Will you sit and type while I talk to you about this thing? It's amazing what they type. I have tried this many times. It's incredible. And it really is helpful because they are perceiving, right? They're listening to the words and perceiving what you're saying and writing notes for you. Then you get to see what they write and you have a basis to start the email, the blog post, or the social media post, whatever it is. So I want you to really look at some of these tips. Like scheduling ahead of time is super important. There's a thing where when you feel the pressure to write that email, I saw someone say, oh, I've got to work on the one for Monday. Girl, I want you to write it today. I want you to write that now because now is Thursday. I don't want you writing that on Monday. No. The pressure is too much. I want you to write it today. You can edit it tomorrow. It's okay. You don't have to schedule everything. You can edit after you've slept and go into that process of like writing and then scheduling, and then it's all good. I also want you to start to recognize when you write the best, the most, all of that good stuff. Like, when do you write the best? I write the best in the morning. So that's when I do that. I batch, and that's another thing on here. It's batching your writing. So for me, this looks like I will write an email and all corresponding social media posts in one sitting because it's one topic and I write all the things at once. So it's one email, several social media posts. So then I want you to really think about batching like task writing being one of them. Then all you have to do is show up and do the work. So I know that can feel really scary, but it's really writing for 5 minutes a day and taking that information in and just getting it out to your audience. The more you write, the more you'll learn about your audience, the more content you will create that resonates with them. But you won't do that if you don't get started. So I need you to start writing and getting information into the hands of your dream student for sure. So I know you can do this 100%. I've seen it happen so many times, not only with myself, but with so many yoga teachers, so many. So I know you can be the next success story I have for sure. And just in case, I like to mention that I say always, they're one day a week. It's on Wednesdays where I hold 1 hour sessions. So if you feel stuck, know that you can always schedule this session with me. And when you jump in there, we will work out so much stuff in an hour. So if you're feeling stuck, I would love to invite you to do that. And I would love to meet with you. And I can't wait to talk through your content and how we can bust through those roadblocks for sure. So let's stay connected, and I'm going to check and see what questions we have, but make sure that we're connected on Instagram and listening to the podcast. I share lots more information on the podcast, and I have a free Facebook group called Marketing Yoga with Confidence. So make sure you're in those. You're already on my email list, so you're going to be getting the information that I send in email, but you'll be able to see and watch how I interact on Facebook and Instagram as well. So, how did that land for you? Did you get clarity on how writing doesn't have to be the worst thing that's happening in your business? I sure hope it did. I know that after that live training, I received messages from yoga teachers that were there live that said it really helped them get clear and understand how to sit down and write in an effective way. So I hope you're feeling that same way. And either way, your next step is to watch the free training so you can get even more ideas. Because remember, there's a live Q&A that happens at the end that wasn't included in this episode. So I want you to go there and watch and listen and go through that training where you get the PDF and you'll have these notes for your reference forever. So all you have to do is go to marketingyogawithconfidence.com/learn. Until next time, give yourself permission to write every day and grace along the way. Talk to you soon.